Hi all, this is May and welcome back to my channel for a brand new speed build. So today I am building sort of like a mid-century modern inspired family home in Oasis Springs for my save file. This one is going to be for a small family of 3 Sims, which I will get back to talking about in just a moment, because first I would like to say that this whole neighborhood is starting to come together. This is definitely my favorite neighborhood in Oasis Springs, so naturally I felt drawn to focus on this area, and I recently did a starter home as well. And if you haven't seen that one yet, the speed build is up on my channel too. You will find a whole playlist there of all the save file builds. And yes, this entire Oasis Springs neighborhood will be very mid-century, modern, retro inspired. I was imagining a lot of these houses were built around the same time, which makes sense, and maybe even by the same company, but as the years have passed, the houses might have been upgraded to look more modern and maybe even expanded them. So yeah, this neighborhood is starting to come together, and on this road you will find Bob Pancake's new home to the starter home that I just mentioned, plus I think Zoe Patel and her new roommate will be living on one of the remaining lots. I've also been thinking if I should do a community lot of some sort on the wider lot here, but I feel like that lot is kind of difficult to figure out because the road outside the lot is curved or something and just kind of wonky to work with. I think maybe even apartments could work, like retro looking apartments. I kind of have settled on Zoe Patel's storyline, but I still have the rest of the roomies left. And if I could give them like each their own apartment, that would be nice. So yeah, I'll have to see what I come up with. But the house that we are currently working on today is for a small family, as mentioned. I found the shape of the house to be quite fun to do. It has the very typical slanted roof that you will find on these retro mid-century type of houses. I take advantage of the platforms function we have in the game to create different heights for this build. Like on the outside here, I will use the Snowy Escape modern looking windows. They aren't full height, like they don't take up all the wall space, and instead I raise up a platform to where the window goes, which I think looks nice. And on the other side of those windows, there will be a lowered or like sunken living room, kind of like a conversation pit where you will have the couches, TV, and so on. So there on the inside, I lowered the platform instead, and I often forget to use platforms, to be honest, but for these types of like retro homes, I feel like platforms and varying levels are kind of a staple. So yeah, I hope you like those areas as well. As for the family living here, I did make an original household of Sims. The family consists of Nick, Tanya, and Alice Barton. They are kind of like a celebrity family, but not too famous yet. So I'll start by talking about the dad, Nick. So Nick Barton is a musician and music producer. He uses a lot of black clothing. For example, he has like that darker look to him. Maybe he does more like eccentric rock music, that kind of a style. At least he has the traits ambitious. He is a jealous sim, and of course he is a music lover. He has the musical genius aspiration, and he is in the entertainment career. And I imagine he would just spend a lot of his free time producing music and playing instruments at home, because in fact he is going to have his very own music studio in this house. I was originally going to put the music studio on the first floor next to the kitchen and the teen daughter's bedroom, but I wasn't really liking that. It didn't feel too realistic to me with like the music, and it would probably be too noisy. So eventually I ended up creating a basement and placing the music studio down there. So he has his keyboard, guitars, and this like music producer station thingy down there. I'm not too sure what it's called. And I thought it would be a fun idea to do the separate room where they record music with the microphone, even though it won't technically be functional like that. But it felt quite realistic anyway. And I think the soundproofing would be better down in the basement. And yeah, so where the music studio originally was going to go, that's where the art studio ends up being. And that brings us over to Tanya Barton, the mother. So Tanya is an artist, a painter. She's quite colorful in terms of fashion, art, and personality in comparison to her husband. I had lots of fun coming up with their characters and their outfits, and they are probably a very opposite attracts a kind of a couple, but they do have common interests in arts and music, like the creative field, if you will. And so I tried to mix both of their personalities into this house. I imagine this house was made several decades ago when the mid-century style was at its peak, and then it's probably been renovated multiple times throughout its course of life. So I think once the Bartons moved in, they decided to renovate it to fit their needs and taste, like I mentioned earlier with this neighborhood. And you will of course see how it all turns out during this speed build. So the art Tanya does, I feel like, is very colorful as well. She focuses on pop art, maybe surrealism and abstract art, like that kind of a genre, if you will. And you'll find some of these paintings around the house that I think she would have made. Some of the paintings I got from the gallery, but they're actually paintings you can make in the game. I know that a lot of people use gallery art for more like these trendy modern photos that you don't have in the game necessarily, but they have made it like themselves and uploaded them and they're non-CC. But sometimes I feel like they don't really fit the style and vibe of the game, so instead I decided to use some of the in-game drawings. And going over to Tanya's traits, she is a perfectionist and an art lover, and she is also socially awkward. She's in the painter career and she also has the painter aspiration. She could have been a freelance artist as well, or just self-employed, because you can make a lot of money just painting in this game. So maybe that's something that she would be considering doing later, like get out of the, the regular working hours, and she can just decide when she wants to work herself. So, more like freedom. And then lastly, we have Alice Barton, their teenage daughter. She's sort of like the popular mean girl in high school. She uses a lot of black and green, and that alone, it just gives me like Buttercup from Powerpuff Girls vibes. She has a tough demeanor, a bit like rebellious, I would say. I made her go into the cheerleading after school activity that comes with the high school years pack. And anyway, she's into arts and music like her parents, but she also enjoys doing fitness-related activities. So I started this build a few weeks ago, and we had just gotten Lovestruck and the base game update with the curved pools. So I was very excited to incorporate that pool into this build. And I think Alice would use the pool quite often, actually. So maybe she's interested in swimming. So yeah, and also in the back there, like back of the build, we're going to have a fenced in backyard with a pool, of course, a grill, some of these like loungers so you can sunbathe, and there will be like a covered patio and balcony. So on the first floor there will be some outdoors couches, and on the balcony over there will be some workout equipment like the new treadmill from Lovestruck and the dumbbell decoration one. Just like very simple. I didn't want to overdo it. There will be enough decorations and all on the inside. I feel like that is going to show off the family's personality quite well. But yeah, I imagine this family, they would probably have guests over regularly, even though Tanya is quite like socially awkward. And yeah, they would probably use the backyard for all the get-togethers, maybe like a pool party, a barbecue party. And since this is in Oasis Springs, I feel like you could do that all year round in the game, regardless if you have seasons or not. And yeah, another thing I wanted to incorporate into my save file is that some of the families will have extended family in the worlds. Like, for example, the Bartons here. Nick has a younger brother named Caleb, who you will find in my save file as well. I will include him in one of the base game worlds, I think, like preferably Oasis Springs 2. However, I'm thinking these extended family members could live in totally different worlds. Like, I want a sibling for Nancy Landgrab, who lives in Brindleton Bay, for example, or I want some family for Judith Ward, or like Bob Pancakes has a brother who lives in Chestnut Ridge and owns his own ranch. I have like all of these ideas that I want to include. I think it's fun and interesting to imagine their family trees and kind of build on to what already exists in the game, almost like expanding the lore in a way. So I will be doing that. I've already started working on builds outside of the base game Werewolves. It has been tempting me for so long. So the most recent one I've done is a penthouse for Penny Pizzazz in San Myshuno. And I'm working on this warehouse cafe in Brindleton Bay. I'm doing like a beach shack in Solani and a new home for Judith Ward. Like, again, so many ideas and just want to get started on all of them. So do expect lots of different save file builds going forward. The save file project has definitely been my main priority so far this year. I can't even remember exactly when I started on it, but it's been a few months already. And I know I've been doing some other builds too, like the Tiny Home series, and that's been a very nice side project when I've needed more lighter builds to work on instead of the save file builds, because for these builds I often spend more time on the Sims living there, like creating them, their storylines, and trying to make homes that fit those Sims. And I tend to focus more on cluttering as well. So yeah, I'm kind of like juggling lots of things at the same time at the moment, and I just need to slowly but surely work my way through things. I do believe we already went through the basement and the music studio that I talked about earlier for Nick. I quite like how I put that whole area together, and I was glad I could use the space beneath the upstairs stairs to add another set of stairs down. So the use of space couldn't have worked out better, to be honest. And yeah, there's lots of different kinds of colors and textures throughout this house. Once again, I wanted to combine Nick's and Tanya's preferences and personalities, even though I think Tanya's personality probably shines through more in this house. And the music studio is therefore a bit more like darker with black counters and other furniture, but I still wanted to do different accent walls, like a lighter blue wall and the wooden herringbone inspired paneling from bowling stuff, I do believe. It's like a fun combination, and I tried to find some noise cancelling panels looking wallpaper in the game, and I do believe I found something similar from Get Famous that I added in the small recording studio. And one thing I never use is the Get to Work window that has one side a regular window, the other side is a mirror. I would have loved it if there was a window that was exactly the size and width, but just regular window instead. I think that could have worked better for that area, but it fits nicely regardless, I think. And I just put lots of different like music stuff and equipment down there, like the music producer station, keyboard, stereo, and I used the island counters to make a work area with the PC and all. I actually do that in a lot of the rooms in this house, where I used island counters instead of desks for spots to have their laptops and such. And next up is the kitchen. I use lots of Home Chef Hustle stuff in here. It's one of my favorite kitchen sets, and it has many nice clutter items as well. So I go for like a creamy beige color for the kitchen set, along with some white subway tiles on the walls. I wanted the kitchen to be less colorful because the dining space will have a splash of color, and I didn't want them to like clash or for this area to be too much in terms of color. So the dining space will have this like glass table with these faux fur dining chairs that I believe I've never used before. They come in the high school years pack, and oddly enough, I feel like Tanya saw them somewhere and just needed to include them in her home. So that's definitely Tanya's doing. She would be more into the unique, like colorful furniture. And above there will be paper lantern lamp that goes with the vibe, and the rug beneath will complement the chairs with its turquoise, yellow, and beige colors. And this is like very much out of my comfort zone, but again, I tried to put myself into Tanya's shoes and think, what would I like to have in my home? So this is what I came up with. Separating the kitchen, dining, and the living room, there is this half wall with these like glass dividers on top. As I mentioned earlier, the living room will be sunken. I lowered down the platform to create this space. So, and yeah, this is totally functional, by the way. I was contemplating using stairs instead of the different like platform heights, but it looked better like this, and there was just like less going on. This also makes it look more modern, I think. A few additional features on the walls here is the big standing mirror from Jungle Adventure. And then this like cool art piece from Dream Home Decorator, I believe. I really use that wall decoration because I can never really find a good spot for it, but considering Tanya's artistic side and her career, I wanted to include it. The sunken living room itself is quite simple. I struggled a bit with that area because I wanted it to have some color, but I didn't want it to like clash with the kitchen again. So I ended up using a rug with a yellow and white color. I put in a fireplace here with a TV on top, and I used the like bowling stuff couch that has this like a retro look and feel to it. I included a simple coffee table, but that one is like turquoise again, so it goes well with the kitchen, or the dining rather. And around the coffee table there will be 2 armchairs. I love those new armchairs from the Lovestruck pack. They have a very nice look to them and look quite modern as well. The hanging lights I used in the living room brings a bit of luxury into the space with its golden accents. And yeah, even though admittedly they're kind of in the way of the TV, but hey, it's The Sims and it doesn't really matter. Alice's bedroom will be on the first floor, and it will have this big square window looking out to the backyard. It's not the biggest room, but I feel like she needed her own double bed regardless of that. The colors I've gone for here is like a blue, green color, black, and red in combination with the warm wooden color you'll find on the floor and as an accent wall. I thought it would be fun to incorporate red into her room, and I got this idea of doing it through the island counters. So I whipped out these Home Chef Hustle counters, and they fit in perfectly with its colors and in that nook between the get together wardrobe and the wall where the door is. I love that one of the end counters have this open shelf, so I do believe I put in like a box or like, yeah, some type of clutter at least. There is this wide spotty mirror that also worked perfectly above the counter, so I would imagine her doing her makeup here. I also add in a laptop there and just like clutter up the top of those counters. The double bed from Seasons will be placed up against the wall, and there will be lots of posters on the walls and some shelves. I also have to mention the organically shaped rug that has a matching red color as the counters. That rug is from the debug section in Equal Lifestyle, I think. And next to Alice's bedroom, we have the art studio that belongs to Tanya. It's not as colorful as you might think. It has very like calming colors and lots of wall space for different types of art pieces. We'll have the basic art things in here like the easel, some paintings leaning against the wall. There is this rug beneath the easel that will protect the floor from like all the paint and that kind of a thing. And we also do have 2 different desk areas for working. Once again, I put in some island counters and a bar stool where I imagine Tanya would sit with her sketch pad and draw. And then I kind of like extended that space with a desk. So this is the desk from Dream Home Decorator. It's probably meant to go with the interior design career, but it works well in this kind of a room too. I love the details for that desk, and it's probably one of my favorite desks, even though I don't use it very often. Again, it's not really a desk that fits in everywhere. And above there you can also see some of the art pieces on the wall, the art pop ones that I think fits Tanya's artistic style. And we got some cubby shelves for storing different equipment and all. And one thing I nearly forgot to add was some aprons. I know the aprons usually go in the kitchen, but this is an art painting room, so why not protect your clothes with one of the aprons? Going upstairs, there will be a simple landing area with some more art and a sectional couch that fits very nicely into the area with the windows there. We'll have a small like office or study area in the room next to there. This one will be quite simple, just 2 desks put together to create this L shape. There are some shelves, the computer of course, and some storage space. I also love the soft green color I went for in there on the walls. The main bedroom will be up here too. I divided the room into 2 sections using a simple wall. So when you enter the room, you will come face to face with a walk-in wardrobe, lots of Dream Home Decorator items again. I used the different shelves and dressers to create that space, like I put in shoes in the cubby shelves, hung up some different clothes and added makeup and jewelry clutter. As for the bedroom section, I just added shelves up against the wall so I could use those as nightstands, and then I just put the bed against those, and of course the mandatory paintings are hanging above the bed, of course. There's going to be 2 bathrooms downstairs and 1 ensuite upstairs, connected to the main bedroom that belongs to the parents. The one connected to the living room also has a washer and dryer, and I gotta say, I love the bright blue floor tiles I used in all the bathrooms. It just adds that nice splash of color, and those tiles are from the Lovestruck pack as well. The bathrooms are all quite modern looking. I used, again, some Dream Home Decorator items like the sinks, the cubby shelves with different clutter. I also used some big mirrors. The ensuite will have a walk-in shower using the big glass doors from Lovestruck, and it will have a nice bathtub in the nook there too. I'm quite satisfied with the bathrooms this time around, and they're not exactly the same either. There's like a few different things that are different. But yeah, I'm currently finishing up the build here and we'll soon head into the screenshots. So that's basically it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and a follow for more content in the future. If you want to be notified when I upload a video next, make sure to click the bell icon too. This build is playtested and up on my gallery. My ID is honeymaysims, or you can find me with the hashtag honeymaysims as well. So thank you all so much for hanging out with me today as we build this mid-century modern house, and I can't wait to talk to you all in the next video. Until then, take care. Bye!